Okay, so in this learning target 1, there's 3 different things. So we're going to be looking at descriptions, tables, and graphs when we're trying to decide if something is a function. Okay, so the first part of this learning target was with a table, and the most important thing is that you have to justify why. The whole point of this learning target is if you can justify your answer, not just say yes or no. So very quickly, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to tell you that on your test, this was a yes, this was a yes, and this was a no. Okay? The reason that this is a yes is because every x has exactly one y. Okay? And I don't see any repeats in the x or the y column. So that means that definitely, for sure, every single x has one y. If I'm looking at the next table, I do notice that there's a repeat in my x column, which is something that in my class I told you to look for. But if you look at the table, 3 goes to 0 in both cases. So that means that when you input a 3, there's only one option to come out. So even though there's a 3 repeated, there's still only one y for every x, okay? And then this last table is a no, because if I look once again at the 3's, for example, 3 has an input, and this could just be one specific example. An input of 3 gives 2 outputs of 2 and 20. You could also say the same thing for 1. You could say the same thing for 2. You might have drawn something like this. 2 goes to 1 and 2 goes to 9. And that's not okay. That's why it's not a function. If you're looking at a graph, I would say yes, no, yes. And the way that you can know on a graph is looking at the vertical line test. And you should have probably included some sort of a description of the vertical line test, meaning, like for example, in the middle graph, you could even just give a specific. In the middle graph, a vertical line passes 2 different points, okay? So if I drew a vertical line in here, it would cross the graph at 2 different points, okay? And then if I'm thinking about a real world situation, I want to think about one x and if it could have more than one y. So if I think about one person and I think about Social Security numbers, one person can only have one Social Security number. So this is a function. Okay? When I think about one last name, multiple people or different first names could be associated with that, could have the same last name. Okay? So for example, my last name is Atwood, and me and my sister and my mom and my dad and some of my cousins and aunts and uncles, we all have the same last name. So the same last name is associated with many different first names, and that's why this is not a function. Okay? So for 1 through 5, function or not, and include a reason why. Here's your directions. Pause the video, copy them down, try them out, then play the video to check the answers, and then bring it with you to retake. Okay? So pause the video now, and then when you're ready and you've tried these problems out and you've copied them down, you can play the video to check your answers, and then this is the big one. Make sure that you bring it with you when you do your retake. Okay? Okay, so I've written down here what I've got, and I'm just going to go through out loud my justification for each of these. Okay, so you might have something slightly different written down for your justification, but just kind of hear me out. So for table 1, I'm saying yes, it's a function because every x has exactly one y. There's no repeats in the x column or in the y column. For table 2, I'm going to say yes, it's also a function because even though there are repeats, they still have exactly one y for each x. If I input a 1, it's going to output a 1 no matter where you look on the table. If I input a 2, it's going to output a 4 no matter where you look on the table. 3 passes the vertical line test, so it is a function. 4 does not pass the vertical line test, so that's why it's not a function. And then for the last one, people and cell phone number is a function. I would say most of the time, although you might have had a different answer for this one, I would say most of the time one person has exactly one cell phone number, okay? Although if you wrote no, I would probably also accept that as long as your justification is that one person could have multiple cell phone numbers. And that would be if for some reason you had 2 different cell phones. Like I can think of some adults that I know who have a cell phone for work and a cell phone for home. So they have 2 different cell phone numbers assigned to them. Okay? So that would be why it would be a no. But that's only in special cases. All right? So make sure you bring this piece of paper with you when you're ready to retake Learning Target 1.